Welcome back to week 2. Today, continuing talking about what we are made of, and we are talking about cells. So remember, we started talking about biomolecules and how we were made up of 4 biomolecules: protein, lipids, carbohydrates, and nucleic acids. These 4 biomolecules are built up cells. So what exactly is a cell? Cells are tiny. So humans on a meter scale, a scientific meter scale, are about 1.5 meters tall. And cells are about 100 micrometers. So much smaller than that. So if you look at this slide, it is quite a bit smaller. And that's a eukaryotic cell. We will talk a little bit about bacteria in this class, which are prokaryotic cells, which are even smaller, about 10 micrometers. And some cells can be quite large. So nerve cells up here can be the length of about 1 meter, which sometimes, like the sciatic nerve, which is a very long nerve that runs the length um, down your back and like down your leg, can be really, really long, and you can have really long cells, but normally cells are quite small. This is a picture of a cell, and this is a eukaryotic cell showing the size up against a prokaryotic cell. And the main difference between the two cells are the nucleus. The eukaryotic cell has a membrane-bound nucleus, and the prokaryotic cell has no membrane-bound nucleus. So the DNA is free floating in the prokaryotic cell, whereas in the eukaryotic cell, the DNA is in a membrane-bound nucleus. So what else? We are going to focus on the eukaryotic cell in the rest of this lecture. So let's take a deeper look at some of the other organelles. So the organelles are little, you can think of them as little organs within a cell. There is an endomembrane system within the cell, and this is made up of organelles that are kind of an interconnected system. And this system is made up of the nucleus, the endoplasmic reticulum, the lysosomes, the plasma membrane, and the Golgi. And this interconnected system is set up for production and recycling. So let's start at the nucleus. The nucleus is the site of information storage and information flow. So we already said that the DNA is located in the nucleus in a membrane-bound system. The DNA is synthesized there, and then mRNA is made in the nucleus. After the mRNA is made, it then flows out of the nucleus to the ribosomes. The ribosomes are then located on the rough ER, or the endoplasmic reticulum. And this is where the proteins are made. So it takes that message or the information that flowed out of the nucleus, and it takes that information and makes proteins in the endoplasmic reticulum. Then those proteins go to a processing center, or the Golgi. And this is where the proteins move through and get processed. Lots of things happen in the processing center to the proteins to make them ready to go to different sites in the cell or different sites out of the cell. And it's a bunch of membrane sacs, and the proteins kind of move through the membrane sacs. So then, after it's done at the Golgi, the proteins are delivered to the cell membrane. So we went from the information stage, which was in the nucleus, where we had our DNA, which the information flowed from the DNA, to the ER, where we made our protein, and then the protein got processed in the Golgi, and then the protein flowed through the Golgi, and now it's ready to go to the plasma membrane. The plasma membrane is special. It is a double layer of lipid molecules. Remember, lipids is one of our biomolecules that we talked about, which acts as a barrier, our insulator, our protector inside the cell. And the protein molecules within the two membranes have various functions. So once the protein gets delivered there, there's a lot of functions that the proteins have. They can transport, they can receive information. There's a lot of things going on at the plasma membrane. But then what powers all of this movement? So we were moving from the nucleus to the ER, to the Golgi, to the membrane. We have to have energy to power this whole system. And the power comes from the mitochondria. The mitochondria generates most of the cell's energy, and it's the most complex organelle. And this is a picture of the mitochondria. It's its own membrane-bound organelle, and it has its own function. It does its own thing, and it's going to have its own separate little lecture on our next slide.